Three, two, one. Hey, what's up? It's Seed Talk. Stuff to make your seeds walk. You know what it is. Before we get started, gonna do a little house cleaning. I always encourage people to donate. You know, um, on Cash App it's $ Logic I'm in. On Venmo it's at Logic I'm in. Also, make sure that you're sharing this video and whatnot and commenting. And if you want to be on the show, make sure you inbox us if you got something that you want to talk about, you think that's relevant and pertinent to community building, or you just want to get on here and debate, or what I'm saying. And even if you want to get on here and gossip, I can turn the gossip into something productive. I always take the best part of everything. That's the kind of chef I am. I'm a social chef. So make sure that you're sharing, you're commenting and whatnot, and telling your friends to tune in to Sea Talk. But today, I have a guest. We met doing a 48-hour film festival. I contacted my guy, brother Anthony Tackett, and I was like, I seen it on social media. I was like, I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to put together a film. He was like, it's too late to submit, but what you can do, you can be a part of our 48 hour film, and we got something. And then we want you to do a spoken word part or a monologue or something. Can you put something together? So I showed up the next day, wrote my piece within an hour or so, and we shot it. And it premiered I think last Wednesday at SIF Theater. Didn't win, but it was good. I got to check it out. I was out of town, so I wasn't able to check out the actual premiere and stuff. Um and but I was able to meet some fellow artists. That's the point I'm trying to get at. And I have some new colleagues, and this is one of the people that I met. So why don't you go ahead and let them know who you are and whatnot, and what you do.
All right. Hi, my name is Kamia Acoba. I am a student at Seattle Film Institute currently for graduating class of 2024. Yeah, I met Logic on the 48-hour film project just a couple weeks ago. And I mean, what else could I say? It's just I'm in this for filmmaking, and I'm really inspired to tell like very important stories to make social change and for people to feel seen on screen. So that's my goal.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I really wanted to have Kamia on here, other than the fact that she has a really cool first and last name, but I wanted to really have, I'm saying, young people on here, people who are younger than me, and really use this as a motivator and encouragement to get into film, because film is very powerful. They say that actions speak louder than words, and pictures they tell a story, you know what I'm saying. And it seems like in today's pop culture media and world that we live in, you feel me, images, even images with no sound, have more impact than reading. Like that,
Yeah.
like images are like the new form of literacy nowadays, you know. So I just wanted to have her on the show and just talk about the impact, like how does film impact the community and whatnot. But why don't you go ahead and just tell them a little bit about yourself? Like, where'd you grow up? I mean, I know you mentioned you
Yeah.
grew up in Hawaii. I've been to Hawaii several times. Tell us what it's like, living in Hawaii, and how does that experience um get communicated through the work you do, you think?
Yeah, so I grew up and was born and raised on Oahu, Hawaii for about 10 years, and then I moved to Washington State about 13 years ago. And I think part of the difference is like there's a very big cultural difference in the people I'm surrounded with. So in like Hawaii, there's a lot of people who are Pacific Islander, Asian. So I grew up with people looking like me, and then when I moved here, it was kind of the opposite. There I wasn't really in areas where people looked like me. So the way that I kind of bring that into my filmmaking is that I try to bring the experiences that I had as kids and communities and friend groups that I had back then, and try to put them into the films that I have now to show that people here on the like mainland that there are groups of people that you can find solidarity with, and show that you're not alone in places where you might you might feel that. So that's how I kind of brought that in. And for like the so I think that impacts like the social change that I want to make with films. And then films are, like you said, they're so impactful. It's like the new like literacy of today, because I feel like reading and writing in words can only get so far, but a, it's a lot more impactful to see people going through similar situations, or people that look like you, experiencing the things that you go through, because you can connect on that on a more personal level if you see people doing that. So I think film in that way kind of is like the ultimate medium, art medium in a way, because it just kind of combines like all all elements: visual, writing, audio. So it's really impactful for social change, and being able to see like stories that um people are experiencing be told.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
just now talking to someone yesterday who grew up in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Well, they there as a tourist or just a
Mhm.
visitor.
One second.
The 3 times I've gone there, it's like I'm like I've been like 5 days is way too much for me. Uh, But it's also like you're in just in if it feels like you're just on a plot of land in just the middle of the water, just in the middle of nowhere. And they're also
Mhm.
it's very slow on the island. I was on Honolulu.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of bored. Did you
I would say like I experienced that like sorry, we're cutting out a little bit. Mm,
well, I can
okay. Sorry. Are we good? I feel like
yeah,
I'm buffering a little. Okay. Oops. Yeah. So yeah, I think I got this going now. Um yeah, no, I didn't find it boring when I was there. Granted, I was like a kid when I grew up there, but I enjoy the slower pace of life, and being able to kind of connect with nature and the community I was in. That's like a big part of like Hawaiian culture, is just being immersed with all the people around you and feeling like you're one big family. So I felt, even when I go back after all these years, I feel really at home. And I think it's a nice juxtaposition versus like here in Washington. Like it's so busy, especially in like the Seattle area and in this industry. So I like the slower pace of life, and kind of I think it gives you a new perspective whenever you go, and because you really get to just like kind of self-reflect and really appreciate your surroundings.
yeah. Um, you, you know of like the Queen,
Hmm.
the native or indigenous or aboriginal people of the island.
Yeah.
They call white people howies.
Yeah.
Can you
um
not can you not
so sorry, what was that?
you can't hear me?
Can't hear. Yes, I'm just
You
cutting
can't hear.
out a
I
little
don't know.
bit.
It might be something with your headset or something. You might want to take your headset off. I don't know. It might be something wrong with that. I don't know.
Oh no, it's okay. It was just my internet was going in and out, but I should be fine now. But yeah, like okay, so I have like mixed feelings about it. So for like the term haole, yeah, it means we it it's referred to for white people that come and visit, but some people I feel like who are like tourists, they kind of feel like it's a derogatory thing, but I just see it as like it's just a word that we call these people who are different, because the thing is, like, my mom's Caucasian too, so I'm half. I'm called what in on the island we call hapahali, so I'm like half white. And I kind of just grew up with that term, so I don't find any like offense with it. It's just for people that who are white who come over, and it's I think people have gotten a little more controversial about it now, but um I don't ever find like a problem with it because it's also part of just like how I identify.
Right. And
Yeah.
I think some of it, I think a lot of the white people who are offended by it, they are kind of they're kind of like projecting
Yeah.
their feelings that the white people there on the island, if you talk to a lot of native and aboriginal people of the island, the colonizer came there and didn't have a good relationship with the native people there.
Yeah.
So they take offense to that word because they know that their relationship with the indigenous people historically has not been good. They
Yeah.
represent and they're reminders of the colonizers. When tourists come there, it does, it does more harm than good to that community. You know what I'm saying? Of people.
Yeah, I find that it's more like the people who are like who come over, and then yeah, they kind of feel like it's that sense of guilt about the colonizers who came over, so they find that when we use a term that's different for them, they take great offense to it. But there's a lot of people in Hawaii who are white and were born and raised there. I've known quite a few people, and it's not uncommon, and I don't think they take offense to that either, because it's like part of it's like you have to acknowledge, what has happened. And in Hawaii, like, we learned so deeply about the history of that, and we have to acknowledge it. So I find that people who were like born and raised there, who really appreciate the culture and the lifestyle, don't take offense to the word. It's usually the people who come over as tourists who think that it's just because we call them something different, it's like some sort of derogatory term, even though it's not.
Yeah. It doesn't help that, there's reminders of that, that colonial rule when you walk the island, like going to the Dole plantation. It's like
Yeah.
I always think it's like very clumsy to
Mhm.
have places like that are like tourist traps or like tourist attractions where that represents oppression. Say it's a plantation for a reason. There's no slight of the word.
Mhm.
It's just like, it's just kind of like, you know, the American, Africans and
Mhm.
were just, put to work with no
Yeah.
compensation. So it does of like, man, it's not all good.
Yeah, I feel like over there, like, in a way, it's more like there's just like a reminder that I feel like the whole island, honestly, like all the islands in general, feel like it's just a constant reminder of how like the land was taken away from Hawaiians. So it's not necessarily always the plantations, but it's the fact that like um I mean, it's a US state now out of forced invasions. So it's like even just it being part of the United States in general just shows that it was colonialized and it was taken away, and the land does not belong to Hawaiians anymore. So it's like having these tourist spots is just like a heavier reminder for the like indigenous people who live there that it was taken. It's just like this constant reminder. And even for like my family who ended up living there, we're not native Hawaiian, but it's something that we have to acknowledge, and we um and try to fight for as well. And I feel like anyone who appreciates it like acknowledges that and realizes like the situation's not that great.
Um, I know for as actually paying people to it's kind of like Alaska, like it's just not a very attractive place to
Hmm.
live. and that's the reason why, in all honesty, and as the reason I have to understand is the reason why um basically the oppression of the nation, and it just has, if I were to get away from the tourist attractions and the trap, but again, a lot of those places are organized. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just like I kind of keep that in mind. Like, I heard there's a lot of depression, a lot of drug use there on the because of, you know, the transformations that it's had over the years because it being colonized.
Yeah, it's definitely
So what I
gone.
think that
Sorry, after you.
no, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. I'm listening. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
I would say, yeah, like the issues that stem from like colonization and obviously like the U.S. takeover is has gotten worse over the last couple. I would say the last decade, even since the last time I was there. And yeah, like depression, like drug use and homelessness has run rampant in the last couple years just because of, you know, there's a pandemic in the economy, and the economy is just getting so much worse. Things are getting so much more expensive without you know, wages going up, so it's been causing a lot of issues, not to mention too that in recent years what has been happening is that people from, you know, all over the world are buying up property in Hawaii, and so that, and granted, since they're islands, you can't really build so much more. So it's like they're buying up the properties that exist or building upon land um, as vacation homes. So the locals who live there don't have places to live, so it's just caused like, you know, the economy to get out of hand and for homelessness to just run rampant now because of that. And I feel like a lot of outsiders don't realize how they're contributing to like these situations for people. Everyone just sees it as paradise, but they don't really understand how it impacts the people who live there full time.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't remember the brother's name. It's a Samoan brother. Um, he has a podcast, and maybe if you know, I remember, I'll put it in the comments. But he has a podcast. He grew up in Hawaii,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he originally came from San Diego, but it's a Samoan brother, and he, you know, he had did some prison time, and but he just really, my point is, he just really does a really good job of telling stories of life on the island from
Yeah.
an indigenous person's point of view,
Mm-hmm.
and how it was growing up. So I just put that out there. You guys can probably find it if you search for it and whatnot. But the whole point of the matter I'm trying to make is that what you see, you know what I'm saying, as a tourist, what you see on the brochures is a facade. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? In the real story, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of occupation, there's a lot of oppression that's there. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a great segue. You know what I'm saying? That's what we do on Sea Talk. What that's a great way that a person like you in the film industry can bring to light and bring on to you know, to on the screen so people can really see the true story. How do you
Yeah.
think that you could use film to really like impact like people's awareness when it comes to being a native, you know, Hawaiian or a person who grew up in Hawaii?
I think film is gonna have a huge impact on that because the one thing is like the film industry in Hawaii is literally just like everyone else coming for locations. But I think it's really important to tell the stories of the people who live there and how it actually like life there impacts them, and it's not just like this paradise that everyone thinks. It's something that I've definitely wanted to bring into like future films that I make because it's, you know, it's not all beaches and sunshine, and the hardships and oppression that the Native Hawaiians have to go through is so far beyond, I think, what most people understand. And I think it's really important to have films that shed light on those stories, because there's a bunch of folk tales too that can are easily marketable, that you can also tell the story of um, Hawaiian history. And I think a lot of people haven't tapped into that, and I think it's something that needs to be told, in order to raise awareness of like how um, us as outsiders are really affecting people who live there. And so yeah, that's something that I really want to tell. And I'm also hoping that I will be able to go back again to make films and tell those stories like in person, instead of obviously having to do them here on like the mainland. I want to go back to Hawaii and really help people tell their stories.
So what are you working on now?
Um, let's see. Well, right now I'm just working on some student films that I have for my classes, but in the next couple of weeks I'm going to be writing some scripts for hopefully next quarter to be shot. And it kind of I'm hoping to write multiple things, and I tend to write about like kind of youth and coming of age and the struggles of finding out who you are and navigating the world that we live in, which I think is incredibly important to tell, especially nowadays in the United States, with everything that's happening. And so I'm really excited to like write these stories, and hopefully they get put into production. If not, I'll do it myself, because I think, you know, young people really need to know that is support out there, and there is hope for what you're going through personally, or how the political climate's affecting you. I think it's just important to show people that there are those who support them and understand.
How did you get connected with the Seattle Film Institute? Like artists want to do film and
Yeah, so
film.
I got into film when I was pretty young. I started making home movies after like probably when I was like 12, 13. Because I was originally writing stories. I wanted to be a writer, but I wasn't satisfied with people not being able to see what I was envisioning. So it led me to filmmaking. And so I started that when I was like, yeah, 12, 13. I then pursued it in community college at Shoreline Community College, where I had some great film professors, and they were actually the ones who recommended me to go to Seattle Film Institute so that I could get a bachelor degrees, because I only had an associate's. And um, so I decided to pursue that too, because I was in college during the pandemic. So I did everything remote online, which is really difficult for a film major when you need to be like out working with equipment and large crews and things like that. So to continue that education, I started at Seattle Film Institute last year, when social distancing like wasn't as big, so it was okay to like be in class with people. And it's just been a great time to actually be able to put my skills to use, and not have to do everything like on my own, because I was doing that for so many years.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So you said that you were making films when you were younger.
Yeah, I mean, I did like at home films. I would like write stories, and then I get like my like siblings or cousins to kind of like come together, and we'd like do at home movies.
What would you
Um
make it on? What were you filming them on?
At the time, I think I was doing like high fantasy films. I was really into like Egyptian mythology, Greek mythology, and
Like what
stuff
were you
like
u-
that.
what were you using though? Like a
Oh my
phone?
god. I was using so I was using like an old Samsung phone for some of them, and then I also had like my parents' old camera that's still recorded on disc.
Right.
So I was shooting my first movies on like this clunky camera that was still recording on like small CDs, and then later on I just ended up filming them on phones that I had, and then putting it together, on like Microsoft Editor and stuff like that. So I started off like pretty rough, but it was still like a really great creative outlet.
Yeah, it works. It works. It works.
Yeah.
Um, if who are some film creators, directors, and stuff like that that you look up to and like you kind of like cater your style to?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I really love Tim Burton. I think his just imagination and his style is something completely unique. So I look up to him in that like creative standpoint. I also really like Wes Anderson from a cinematography standpoint
So you
because
like okay, yeah, because they have similar kind of like that
Mhm.
that that black and white look. So I know Tim Burton. Don't tell me he did like Edward Scissorhands, right?
Yeah, he did Edward
Yeah.
Scissorhands, Nightmare Before Christmas. He did a reboot of Alice in Wonderland, and he always has like this dark theme
Right.
to his stories that I absolutely enjoy.
Did he do the? I don't know if he did the Crow though. Did he do the Crow? I don't know if he probably didn't do that. No, he
I
didn't do.
don't think he did The Crow,
Okay, all right, my bad.
but yeah,
You said Wes Anderson.
yes. So
What did he
what?
do?
So he actually just came out with a movie called Asteroid City. I haven't seen it yet, but I want to. But he has done like the Grand Budapest Hotel. What was it called? Rushmore. Um,
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm familiar. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like Fantastic Mr. Fox. I love his color palette and his style, like putting everything in center. So I really, from like a cinematography standpoint, look up to like who he works with, and I try to implement that. And then, actually, he's not well known. There was actually a YouTube there is a YouTube channel that I got into, that made me realize I really wanted to do film. It was called Wong Fu Productions, and it's still going actually. And it's these Asian American guys, who just make short films. And um, one of the guys on their team is Wesley Chan, and I watched his short films a lot when I was around, I think, like 15 or so, and it really impacted me on the stories I want to tell and how I want to tell them, because he's very poetic in the way that he writes, and and he usually writes about like the intricacies of human relationships, and that has really impacted the things that I want to make. So shout out to Wesley Chan because he is a great filmmaker. Not big just on YouTube, but he's fantastic.
All right.
Yeah.
Is on C Talk is we at the end of the show we call the vaccine. We also have a new thing that we do called "What is your homework?" Sometimes I combine the plan of action with the homework. What the plan of action is basically based on the conversation that we had today. Film impacts underprivileged, historically oppressed people. Like, what's the plan of action
I think
when people walk away from this? What could be their homework or their thing?
For the people who are watching this, I think it's from what you can take away from this, I think you really need to from a film perspective, I think you need to be able to support um films that are about, minorities and people of color and indigenous people, and really, even if you don't understand what they're going through, like try go and watch and try to support these creators and these stories in order to get like a better understanding of what they're going through, um because I think that's kind of like one of the most important things. It's like human empathy and being able to try to understand people who are different from you. So definitely check out creators of all art forms, but yeah, especially in film, of people of color and indigenous people. And then also just like a quick tip: if you go to Hawaii, just be respectful of the culture and the people around you, because that is like people and culture and family is like a huge thing over there. So you have to be able to respect people's traditions. Um, so that's what I'd have to say.
Great. To add on to
Yeah.
what you said, to my plan of action would be when you watch a movie, especially if it's a movie that is supposed to be based on true events, look for the breadcrumb, real deep dive, um,
Oh.
historical, you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
and historically accurate, you know, deep dive of it. Like research
Yeah.
it. Don't just watch movies and be like, oh yeah, Passion of
Mm-hmm.
Christ. That's exactly how. No, it's not. It's not. It really isn't. You know what I'm saying? And just try to find the breadcrumbs, and also try to find the Easter eggs in it. So that's your homework, but that's also a plan of action. Is that movies are movies for a reason. You get to see what the camera is pointing at for a reason.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to create what you cannot see, you know what I'm saying, in your head, and do the research and study it. So I
Yeah.
think it would be great, man, to next time to do a part two, and then have some of your colleagues and have some of your peers
Yeah.
that are working with you, and then we can just talk about maybe recruiting, and
Mm-hmm.
outreaching to the community to get people to be a part of, like, maybe some collective filmmaking. Maybe
Yeah.
we could put together our own film, maybe a 48-hour film contest, for ourselves, and things of that nature. But
No, yeah, that'd be really cool. I'll definitely like reach out because I know a lot of people want to put themselves out there and will love the opportunity to, help inform more people.
all right. It's been great. Until next time, it's been Kamia, Acoba. This Logic I'm in with Sea Talk. Make sure you donate. Like I said, uh, Cash App, $ Logic I'm in, Venmo at Logic I'm in. Make sure that you're liking, you're sharing, you're commenting. And if you want to be on the show, if you got a topic you want us to cover, make sure you DM me, inbox me, or whatever. My social medias. We out.